Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for the third race in the ARC Indycar Championship. And this round takes us to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. I almost said Houston. That would be dead wrong. As I attempt to find the first car to have left the pit lane, Travis Van Nustendorp. Only 15 have shown up this week, so it's all the usual suspects, the people who've made most or all of the races already. Most or all, there's been 2. And I'm pretty sure most of this field has made both of them. Van Nustendorp was the first driver to leave the pit lane, but it seems Jurgensmeyer is going a little faster on his outlap, so he will probably be the first one to begin a lap, but that's going to be a bit before we get to that, because the lap around Circuit of the Americas is relatively long for Indy cars. Or for any car, really, but the average speed here isn't really that high. You basically have the S's and then the 3 apex right-hander, which is really just a double apex. I don't know why they pretend it's triple. The long sweeping right-hander in the second half of the track. But other than that, every corner is pretty slow. A lot of hairpins. I think it's like, what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hairpins out of 20 corners here at Circuit of the Americas, if I'm not mistaken. So the ratio is pretty extensive, and it does lead to some close battles and a lot of possibilities for overtaking, but it can just as easily lead to bad passing attempts that result in broken Indy cars by the end of it. And after Long Beach, I think we're more than familiar with that concept, as Jurgensmeyer will begin his first lap of the session, and the first lap. The braking zone for T1 is pretty open to interpretation, as it's uphill. Turn 2 is almost non-existent for an IndyCar, plenty of downforce. And then we have the S's. Increasingly sharp corners that require you to get on and off the gas at random intervals. The corners get slower until you reach the final one. And Jurg has taken them quite well. Avoid the curbs or you'll instantly die. That's not really a corner. Then we have this track's second hairpin. And a less adaptable braking zone, but multiple ways to skin a cat as far as the apex goes. And then the really long back straightaway, that's uphill, requiring a good gear ratio setup to maximize time gain. And then an even more scary braking zone as you're braking downhill for the third hairpin. And then you have a complex of multiple hairpins in a row. This one's a double apex to the right. And here's a double apex trail braking corner to the left, which Jurg has not quite hit the apex on, but that's probably the hardest corner on the track in these cars. And then you have that flat-out triple apex right-hander. Jurg actually takes like a triple apex, but you don't always have to. Downhill left, blind apex, and then the final hairpin and the final corner can be a passing zone, but it's sketchy. And that is a lap of the Circuit of the Americas. What will Jurgensmeyer's lap be as we've ridden on board with for the entirety of it? A 1:45 flat. The next across the line is Van Nustendorp with a 1:46.1. Where is my cursor? There we go. Oh, we switched to Luke Allen's POV as he's gotten it wrong in the S's. Andrew Davis runs a 47.8 and stops on the racetrack. Okay, he's gone. Jake Scarborough, 47.47. Or 47.47. Who's next? Not you, not you. Now, Sean Cassane, as I don't know how I got his name pronounced so wrong before. He'll head up to the line. Next, Gabe Kazula ran a 46.39. Sean with a 45.45. Jamie Wright with 49.8. Not really the fastest lap we've seen, obviously. Carter Ritchie with a 46.79. There is one interesting driver that's in this field. I think we have Tyler Crabtree debuting, returning as a reserve once more. Certainly isn't his first time. At this point, he might just be upgraded to full-time driver status over there on 44. Who's ran a lap? No one did, I'm dumb. Okay, now AJ Knickel did with a 46.3. Crabtree followed with a 46.7. So, decent pace from the reserve. But the one driver making their debut today is Julian Lozano, who I believe is on HRT for this. And his first qualifying session of... Wait, that was an outlap. I'm dumb, never mind. Luke Allen's not going to be much of a lap. He spun earlier on. Matthew Stott should be one to pay attention to, as he's heading his way towards the finish line through the triple apex right. Penultimate turn, swung that thing in there. Let's see what the from Countback race winner will run. A 45.26. Lozano is somewhere. There we go. The trackside camera finally got on with it. He and Luke Allen are the only drivers who've not completed a lap, and they're both in the middle of it. Luke Allen reaching the final portion of the circuit, Lozano right in the middle. Or midway point, I should say. And he's missed the fourth of the hairpins. He has, I believe, that would be Van Oostendorp or Crabtree behind him. It is the former. So his lap is getting heavily slowed down. If this is a lap that he's on, which he's pushing like it is. He's giving Lozano a bit of a problem here. And he's made an overtake on a qualifying lap, apparently. And they both just go back to the pits. I think Lozano... Well, no. Lozano's not really going to be hit with I don't think he can really be hit with an impeding penalty, because he himself is on a lap. He's in his right to take his own qualifying lap. It's not necessarily him being at fault. Or, he doesn't deserve a penalty for being slower. Luke Allen ran a 58.5. I don't think that's representative, and Matthew Daly ran a 2:02.5, and I know that's not representative. I don't know if this is an in-lap, an out-lap, or if this is another tempting hot lap. I think it might be a hot lap. We're about to see. If it was, it wasn't any good. So he'll be on his merry way. Carter Ritchie is in the pit, so his session's done, as the timer for the session is counting down, only about 40 seconds or so left in it. It's gone by awfully quickly, I must be honest. I'm not sure if Julian Lozano is going to get back around in time to get another try. If he is, it will be close. Or if he does, it's going to be close, I should say. Phrase that. Closely on the leaderboard as the session is about to end, and it's looking not great for Mr. DHL. 6 seconds, he's only getting onto the front stretch now, and Julian Lozano is not going to get a chance to set a lap. Unless this is a lap, and I'm just dumb. Okay, it is a lap. It's a 59.6, so it's not exactly a fast one. AJ Knickel jumps to the top of the board with a 44.90. Jurgensmeyer is on his way around to try and correct that. I put it on onboard, so I don't remember the sector lines in several corners ago. Jurgensmeyer heads through the last turn. Does he have anything to offer to contest that 44.90 from Knickel? Oh, he does a 44.6. Rapid speed from the 18 car. Another driver to watch. We have Van Oostendorp still on the circuit. Why does it sound like a robot there? And the amount of backfiring that car was doing just there. Who's that car in the last turn? This is Luke Allen. He'll get one more chance to start a little higher as Van Oostendorp invalidates his lap. Luke Allen doesn't improve his position at all. Jake is not on a lap. Gabe Cazolla's session is concluded. And Travis's lap was invalid. So that will wrap up this qualifying session. So it is pole for Jurgensmeyer and for JSR, with AJ Knickel P2 and Stotts P3. 3 different teams in the top 3 positions. I think Sean Cassane is a teammate of Stotts, though. So we don't have 2 full rows of different teams on this occasion. I was about to wonder if he's on T1A, but T1A is in Hondas, I believe, and I don't think... No, this is a shit, or is this even T1A? The T1A and CLE groups are just a cluster of different drivers in different places for different series, and I struggle to keep them apart. I never really got, like, a roster given to me of, like, the current roster. Wow, that's redundant, me. I do know one thing that's changed is that Jamie filed for a release from T1A and Conga Line. So he is now under the employment of Champ Racing as their lone driver of this event, as Dylan Bam is not here. A full rundown of the grid order before the race begins. The pole sitter will be Jurgensmeyer, followed by AJ Knickel, Matthew Stotts, Sean Cassane, Fidel Fabian with a breakout qualifying session. He must have jumped Travis when I wasn't paying attention. Then it is Travis Van Oostendorp, Gabe Cazolla, Tyler Crabtree, Carter Ritchie, Andrew Davis, Jake Scarborough, Jamie Wright, Matthew Daly, Luke Allen, and Julian Lozano will start in last on his debut, but I am fairly certain that had he had more time to run a full qualifying lap, I don't think he'd start here. It's hard to be sure. As the lobby is synchronizing, the red lights are lighting up, and green from Circuit of the Americas. And as per usual, Matthew Stotts with his trademark rocket ship race start. He's going to probably take the lead into 1. He's going to have the preferred line through turn 1. He will, and Fidel Fabian might just follow him ahead of the 18 car. It looks like it. And now everybody files through the S section. You are a fool if you go through here too wide. And yet it looks like somebody has just tried to, as Matthew Daly is spun off in the distance, along with... no, Carter Ritchie's fine. He just went to the back. So, a relatively clean first sector of the racetrack. That's probably the hardest part of this race. Other than all of the times when we're going to restart and have to do it again. It's an absolute pandemonium heading towards the second hairpin. Everybody's on a different lane, it seems like. From like 3rd all the way back to about 12th. Everybody is just fanning out here. It looks like most of the cars have sort of gotten their positions settled for the time being. We'll see who's got the gear ratios right heading towards the 3rd hairpin on the circuit. Lozano has had a good race start up to this point. Up to... well, he was up to... oh, now he is missing a big chunk of his wing. And he's just trying not to get too much in the way. He must have had some contact off screen there. He did have a good start before that. Up to as high as, I believe, 6th or 7th before that damage happened. I thought Scarborough was also missing his wing. No, his wing is just black, so it looked like there was nothing there. I'll probably get cancelled for that. That doesn't sound right. Goodness knows this community. Matthew Stotts, after a... well, he had a really good start to the lap. He sent it down the inside of Scarborough, and he will make that place up pretty easily. He must have had a mistake somewhere in the middle part of the lap that's put him in 5th. And now he looks to compensate. Starting to get a little warm in there now. I know that's not really related, but... Jake Scarborough had a better run out of the last part of the S's. He tried to take a position from Matthew Stotts, but he still might just do so. He got a better exit onto the backstretch, and now it's just going to be a drag race heading towards the next of the hairpins. Scarborough with the better straight line performance, it would appear. And Scarborough will take his P5 back away from Stotts. Fidel Fabian has held on to the lead pretty well, but his JSR teammate looms in his mirrors. And Jurg's got plenty of pace. He just took pole. So, I don't want to be that guy, but it kind of seems like it's a matter of time and only a matter of time for Fabian. Jurg doesn't seem to be pushing super hard to get it now. He does have 20-something laps to take it later. He obviously doesn't want to select a bad time, because that is a teammate in the 98. The 18, 19, and 98 are the JSR cars. That much I do specifically remember. That's like the only team that I can entirely remember the cars, numbers, and drivers of. Missing anything back here? It doesn't quite seem like it at the moment. We have Luke Allen, who's now catching up to Stotts. Stotts must have maybe a small amount of damage that we just can't quite see on the broadcast, or maybe his race pace is lacking compared to his qualifying lap. And he just had that really good start that made it seem like he had a lot of potential. Luke Allen is going to comb his way through. And now it's the 7 car into 6th position. Can we please look at the cars? I really don't like these trackside cameras for that. Gran Turismo 7, this is not... Jurgensmeyer still filling Fidel's mirrors, but he's not forcing the issue. Who is forcing the issue at the moment is Jake Scarborough, who is attempting to pass Van Oostendorp. He closed up on him rather quickly. Oh, that was sketchy. They took very different lines through the long right, and they nearly crossed midway through. Travis trying to swerve to prevent Jake from gaining more speed. It doesn't stop the 19 car, but Travis brakes so much later. That might be his undoing, though. He's gone very wide at turn 1. And now he is defenseless against Scarborough, who's very much on the move early going here. Oh, but that's... Travis seems very... Never mind, that was just a perspective thing. I thought Travis just gained on Jake massively there, but no. The camera made it look like he did. These trackside cameras are very much disorienting me, if that's not obvious to tell. Andrew Davis catching Gabe Gazzola, who's recently been upgraded to a full-time seat in that 9 car. I believe he has replaced Jamie Wright. Ironically, is just behind these two. And by process of elimination, I know the 83 and the 9 are Chip Ganassi cars, so these two must also be teammates. Meanwhile, looks like Juergensmeyer, well, I thought he was getting tired of waiting, looking at the gaps, but he still isn't pressing Fidel yet. I can't tell if he really is just saving his stuff for later, or if he actually cannot find his way around the 98. It's hard to really be sure. Juergensmeyer is the faster car. It's not like there are 0 passing opportunities here at Circuit of the Americas. It's just that Juergensmeyer isn't... He's not being presented with them in the proper light to decide to take them away. Oh, he's done now. He is going for it, and Fidel is not going to put up much resistance. Jonathan Juergensmeyer, our pole sitter, will go back into the race lead, for now at the very least. Fidel Fabian is not leaving him alone, though. It's through the S is a very different line between the two, almost resulted in disaster. Oh, excuse me. And could not find the mute button for that one in time. AJ Knickel is just sort of in the background, just kind of existing there. I don't know if you see him, well, you probably do see him every once in a while when the camera pans out. He's always there, but he's not in the battle. But Fidel just had a really awkward S section, and that's given AJ a bunch of time. I just noticed it is a 1-2-4 for JSR at this moment in time. AJ Knickel, the only one playing spoiler to them at the moment. And depending on what kind of things may happen next, we might see that change, as it seems Jake is getting closer to AJ, and AJ is getting closer to Fidel. So in the near future, we might see a 3-car battle for P2, and that's exactly what Juergensmeyer wants to see, to say the least, because that allows him to run as far away as humanly possible. AJ had a really slow section through there, so that's given Fidel breathing room, and that's given Jake Scarborough a chance. Let's see if you can do anything with said chance as we reach the quarter distance mark here from AICC. These three keep doing little tiny accordion effects. I feel it's only a matter of time. They'll all be like nose to tail. Because I don't fear that. I want that. I want a race. I wish to broadcast racing action. But if I'm not going to get that, at least make it caution-free so I get some entertainment. You know, I can just be on my way. Luke Allen finds himself around. I believe that's the exact same place he went around in qualifying that was caught on the broadcast. That puts him out of the top 10. And while we were watching that, Jake Scarborough put the moves on Knickel, but Knickel either used a slipstream or a push to pass, and he'll just fly back ahead of him. Scarborough doesn't challenge into the braking zone of the following hairpin. He doesn't have to. AJ Knickel has missed said hairpin, and Scarborough tries to sweep around the outside. They make a bunch of contact. I was about to say they door each other, but there are no doors on these cars, It's not how this works. Scarborough will still just slide on through, not fazed by the side pod collision. Not much, at least. And it is now a JSR podium lockout for the moment. And Scarborough, yep, that's his name, Riker, Scarborough. He's already pulling a gap on the 6th car of AJ Knickel. It ain't much, but it's a gap. AJ does have some pretty strong straight line performance. But he's been sort of off and on a little bit. As Jake now has a penalty. I'm beginning to question, I don't think he's earned 31 seconds of penalties for anything that I've seen him do. And usually, whenever we see that, it's not a penalty that lasts for too long. Oh, speaking of not too long, Fidel Fabian has caught right up to that 18 car. We're going to have a bit of team battling going on here, as Fidel, he might just try and take the glory for himself. You know? At the end of the day, this is a motor race. There's nothing saying that we can't fight here, or they can't fight. Unless Jake is specifically telling him not to, because Jake is now also probably seeing this. I hate these trackside cameras. Look up, my guy. Oh my god, I hate that. Further in the back, the only thing I've noticed is that Andrew Davis is still trying to put the moves on Gabe Cazzola. That's about the only thing going on outside of this top 4. And even then, the top 4 is not actually that close. It's just 1st and 2nd. Scarborough is still about a second and change back from Fidel. And Knickel is still a pretty decent ways. That's not AJ. AJ is also about a second and a half away from Jake, so... Get a bit of onboard cockpit view action going on here to kind of spice things up. Especially because I'm getting a little sick of these trackside cameras. The distance, I think Fidel has fallen off of the back of Juergensmeyer. Instead, he may soon be under threat from his team owner in the 18 car. Yeah, 19 car. Take some time on board with Scarborough to see if he can put the moves on the 98 car up ahead. Because I've been told not to use the chase cam many times, but I also like to know what's going on in front of the driver. It's not like they don't have cockpit views in real life. In the background, we also have another battle brewing as Matthew Stotts has caught back up to Van Oostendorp. This is for 5th on the track. Andrew and Gabe still also pretty close together. Andrew has missed, or no, that's the other way around. Gabe Cazzola has missed his turn in for the S's. I don't really know if he'll be allowed to hold on to that position. That didn't seem right. Unless that was just a visual thing from the broadcast, it wasn't actually what happened. We need a trackside camera for this. It's a drag race, as Scarborough has found a way to try and pass his teammate. Heading down the back straightaway. Who goes crazy on the brakes? Fidel does have the better line, and they break about even, but Fidel is going to defend successfully for the moment. In the background, as if I can press the buttons correctly, we have a terrible trackside camera that's not looking at anything of note. A little bit of a very sideways Travis Van Oostendorp. He tries to fight his teammate, and his teammate won. Now he stops and waits for a clear opportunity to get going again, but he has lost several seconds. Scarborough's back. He never would left his teammate's rear wing, but he's still there. Obviously, that's how that works. He'll go down the inside of one. They both nearly spin on the way in, as the cars sort of bottom out, going up the hill. Scarborough will take P2 away from his teammate. Now it is up to Fidel to sort of play rear gunner and to keep the Canadian AJ at bay. I just subconsciously did the F1 broadcaster thing of just randomly mentioning a driver's nationality for reasons. I don't know if anybody else has ever noticed that they do that. Apparently Crabtree has claimed a penalty. That's only 1 second. But even still, there's no chance that doesn't actually last. Same as I said before with Scarborough's. Pretty often those 30-second penalties are completely wrong, and they usually get removed by the moderators post-race. So just kind of pretend that's not there, although that might be something right there. The 1 second penalty might remain. That's, that just depends on what has actually happened and what actually is or isn't a track extension. And also, if it's actually Jake's fault or if there was a reason he had to go off the circuit. Like earlier when he made a bunch of contact with AJ Knickel, when he went to take third away from him. I think Jake might have been forced off the track there, and that wouldn't be his fault because he was run into by AJ. Hypothetically, wouldn't be his fault. If the collision was AJ's fault, then the track extension was not Jake's fault. There's other nuances to it, obviously. I think most people in this league know how that works by now. Certainly a lot of the stewards, like myself, do. I just can't put it into words super well because I'm a moron. I'm fairly certain that there's no way in heck anybody is getting one set of tires to the end of this race, so we should reasonably expect to see some pit stops relatively soon. We're seeing the first of them with Andrew Davis, but that might be for damage. Who is to say? They haven't really been looking back there. It is pretty hard to get damage from hitting a wall here because the walls are pretty far away from the racetrack most of the time. There are a few tracks like that where there's so much runoff and grassy areas in between that it seems almost impossible to actually hit a wall. You could probably do it through here, and I know in the F1 games a pretty common place to DNF is coming out of this very turn. You can just hook that curb on the outside and it spins you into that Armco down there, and that is potentially race over, depending on how you hit it. At least in this game, you don't instantly DNF if you hit a wall. As June Lozano has disconnected from last place. That may be a manual disconnection or it may not be. It's hard to be sure. And being the only car a lap down definitely is a bit deflating. As Fidel Fabian, he has lost some time to Knickel. By some time, I mean a lot of time. AJ was the fastest car on the track the previous time around, whereas Fidel was one of the slower ones. But it seems seeing the sudden threat of Knickel in his mirrors has gotten his act back together, as he's now gaining some of that time back against the 6 car. You're about to surpass the half distance from Coda. So on board with Scarborough again as he attempts to maybe catch up to his teammate and take the lead for himself. As I'm actually going to do a thing that sounds probably preposterous for me. I'm going to actually get my tablet and try and find the standings. And there are only 2 races in. Yeah, I don't care what's new. Go away, Discord. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer has pit in at the exact halfway mark of this race. So Dylan was the points leader going into this race, but that is absolutely non-existent now that he is missing this event. Other cars that pit on that lap alongside Jurgensmeyer, Knickel, Crabtree, and Fabian, and Travis have all boxed. Jurgensmeyer exits in P... You are not Jurgensmeyer. Exits in P5. Gabe is actually second in points at 68. Stotts at 66. Travis at 65. Technically, in terms of like a team standings thing, Jurg is the one leading the points out of the JSR crew, but it's not by much. Only having done 2 races, and the point system being pretty much yard sale rules. Everybody gets a little bit. I think even cars that DNS score points, even if it might just be only 1. Now that DNSing was a problem here, we only had 15 show up for the Coda round. Personally, I'd prefer if we never had to do pre-qualifying. If we just have 14 to 16 cars show up exactly every week, I don't think anybody would have many complaints. Scarborough, I'm an idiot. Jurgensmeyer sends it on the inside of Gabe. He almost misses the following turn, but he manages to barely make it and make the pass stick on the target machine. Matthew Stotts will pit in on this occasion, which will put Jurgensmeyer back on the net podium. Fidel Fabian was majorly jumped during the pit stop by AJ Knickel. And he must have had something go wrong on his outlap as he lost 13 seconds to the Canadian on this particular occasion, on this lap. None of the other front runners decide to follow Matthew Stotts into the pit lane. I have to go back on board. I can't deal with these helicopter cams. Don't help. I'll use the hood cam. I don't remember the point standing. I don't remember the point system of IndyCar exactly. But I know that as things stand right now, Gabe Gazzola would definitely be the points leader. Although that said, that might change because Matthew Stotts has made his pit stop and, you know, Gabe didn't yet. Speaking of pit stops, Luke Allen will do that at this moment. Gabe Gazzola will follow him in. So all of the major players of this race have now pit. Except for Jake Scarborough, who's currently reveling in that clean air. The first time he's had like completely clear track ahead for a pretty long time. It's definitely been a, excuse me, a bit of gas, been a stream of consecutive overtakes he's had to make up to this point. Passing AJ, then passing Fidel, and then he ran behind Juergensmeyer up until his pit stop. So that's like a good 6, 7, 8 laps straight of being behind or near at least another vehicle. And he's certainly looking to make good on that escape plan at the moment. He's revving the engine out. He's going to have to refuel soon enough anyway. So I suppose it makes sense. Duh, not every car is going to be able to make it to the end. Yeah, he's going in now. Barely makes that commitment cone there. Makes his way down the pit lane. Now this aerial cam is helpful because it allows us to sort of maybe keep a bit of an eye on Juergensmeyer and his progress as he's making his way through the triple right-hander at the moment. Jake has just left his pit stall. I think he's probably gotten the jump on his teammate. Going long, getting that overcut. Juerg's on the front stretch. Jake is now able to release the pit limiter. This is going to be interesting as they head out of the pit lane. It will be Scarborough just ahead of Juergensmeyer. We've had a bit of an F1 overtake there. About 9/10, almost basically a second good over his teammate. And Fidel Fabian is in shambles now, as he is under threat now from Carter Ritchie, who I don't think has pit yet. And he will have to soon enough, looking at his pit load. His fuel load. Juerg also has those cold tires, so he has to be cautious on this outlap, but he will have the fresher tires. I don't know how much of a difference that makes at this track, or just in general in this game. It doesn't usually make a big difference, because tire fall off a lot of times takes a while to take its effect. But Juergensmeyer is definitely catching Scarborough at the moment. Slipstream probably playing a big role in that. It's interesting seeing the different lines everybody takes through that corner. That's late apex left. Jake and Juergensmeyer take completely different lines through there, as I just noticed. Let's see what Juergensmeyer sees as he attempts to take his lead back from his team owner. Yes, Slipstream, and I think he's turned on the push to pass. We'll go back to the trackside camera to see if he sticks it. He about gets it stopped. Juergensmeyer back to the race lead. I don't think Scarborough put up as much of a fight as he potentially could have done there. Not really any reason to. They're teammates. They've got a 5-second lead over the rest of the field. They have a little bit of, have a bit of fun battling for the lead, but ultimately don't cost each other too much time until maybe the last lap or two. As Scarborough really missed the S's there. Crabtree down the inside of Fidel Fabian knocks a cone out of the way. I'm not sure who put that there. Fidel's race is fading away from him here. And Fidel's fading. Crabtree gets the move done as we head into the S's. They. Another thing to watch, Matthew Stotts, he's on the warpath. He might have had a bit of an ugly start to this race as we've had a DNF from the race. That is Sean Cassane. Started fourth, but I think he had some bad crashes somewhere along the way that I missed because I was watching the battle for the lead positions. Stotts is definitely catching Knickel. Now, Stotts may recover to a podium. How many times have I said Stotts in the last few minutes? Oh, he peaked at it there, heading into the last turn, but realized there are probably better places to do it. Like turn 1, for example. And he is going to have the opportunity to do precisely that. And Stotts, to add one more counter to the name, counter of times I've said Stotts. Stotts will take the position. He's onto the podium after a bit of an ugly start, but I think an undercut from him has gained him a lot of time. I think he did not undercut Knickel though, is the thing. He undercut everybody else. Or did he pit at the same time? I was so focused on the whole Jurgensmeyer and Jake thing that I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, there are like a dozen other cars on the track. When battery is low, I didn't ask. Fidel has now been overtaken by Cazzola. And I'm beginning to wonder if there isn't just something straight up wrong with that car. There's some damage that I just can't see from the broadcast angles, or if it's just a mental thing. He's been passed by one car and he feels like he's been passed by them all. But now Luke Allen is hunting him down. And things are only getting worse for the Pennsylvania native. Stotts ran a 47.8 in race trim. He's on the warpath. There's not much stopping that 6 car right now. I'm almost beginning to wonder if he was on the primaries at the start of the race. Now he's on the reds, maybe? That is a thing that you can't tell in the broadcast because the tires always look like they're the alternates, but there are 2 different kinds of tires to be on, and I'm beginning to wonder if Stotts maybe selected the wrong ones. Now he's realized that those were the wrong tires, and now he's on the alternates, and he is mad fast at the moment. 47.8, that's a lap that some cars would have liked to have set in qualifying. And he's definitely catching Scarborough now. He's basically there as we speak. It's not going to take much more from him. Probably just a good exit onto the front stretch, and he'll probably pick off another guy into turn 1. Just like he did with Knickel not too long ago. Knickel himself is still in the background there. Just like he was in the very early goings of this race. In the background. He's honestly been there for most of this race. He's always been near. Oh, he's not waiting till the front stretch. He's going to get Scarborough through the technical section. He is not waiting. Death stops for nobody. And neither does Matthew Stotts. We are heading up to 5 laps to go. Even while having to make an overtake, Matthew Stotts ran a 48.3 to Jurg's 48.9.5. He's definitely got the pace. Catching's one thing, though. He still has to get around Jurg once he gets there. And I say once, because I'm fairly certain he will get there. He's dumping push-to-passes, too. I just saw that update on the HUD there. So he's giving it every ounce of this 6-8 car. Andrew gets out of the way as he's been given blue flags to all of these cars. The other question, the one that's a little bit less obvious of an answer, is will Scarborough be able to hold off third against the slowly approaching AJ? He's not making the same rapid progress as Stotts, but he is getting closer to Scarborough. At the same time, I think Crabtree was overtaken by Gazzola. That's a C, Riker. It's not Gazzola. He's not a gazelle. I must have missed that happening. May very well have happened while Stotts was overtaking Scarborough. AJ is definitely there now. It's within a second. The little exclamation mark tells the whole story of, hey, look here. And I do like that feature. Sometimes I still miss when it tells me to look at something, but it's, you know, it's still a thing that's there that mentions, hey, put the camera here, there might be a battle. And soon I feel like there will be one over Matthew Stotts' name, too. He wasn't as fast on the last lap, even without an overtake. It was only a 48, too, but that's still a second up on Jurg's time. Not to mention, he gained quite a bit on this lap already. I believe it was about a 3.5 second deficit before. And, well, he's losing time on the straights, it appears. I'm so gosh darn tired of this trackside camera doing that! I don't care, I'm using chase cam, I want to look at the pedal. So, AJ sent it down that hairpin and got into position. Scarborough tries to cross over. Now he's going to send it into the following left, but he cannot get the car to listen to him. And so AJ Kaneka will make off with third place. Unless Scarborough can mount a retaliation. Doesn't sound right. Unless Scarborough can resurge and grab that back from him. But AJ's got more speed now than he did before, so that might not be a thing. Yeah, Stotts took a whole another 2 seconds out of Jurgensmeyer in that lap. There are certain sectors, obviously, where Matthew Stotts is not as fast as Jurg. But it seems to be that third sector. This doesn't tell me that, right. I don't know why I thought it would tell me the sector times. Yeah, Scarborough's toasted. He just... Unless AJ makes an error, I think Scarborough is destined for P4. Right now, it's almost to the point where even if Scarborough's 30-second penalty was real, it wouldn't even matter because he's almost far enough ahead of Cazzola to where that doesn't matter. Fidel Fabian has pit. He is missing his whole front wing, and I don't know why. He was recently overtaken by Travis. And I don't know if that is the cause or what else, if, you know, maybe it was an indirect thing, or if that's just coincidental timing. Look, oh, wow, words, please use them. Look at the gap now. Only another 7/10 consumed of that lead for Matthew Stotts. We're only on 2 laps to go now. His closing rate has tapered off a little bit. It's weird to me that he was closing at all, considering, well, his tires are going away. Drke's tires were better this whole time. He overcut Stotts, I believe. Doesn't seem to have mattered, unless he was also just mashing push to pass on straightaways, and maybe he stopped that. It's hard to be sure. He's about a second back now. There will be a lapped car ahead. I don't know who that is. That might be Jamie Wright. It is, which will be interesting because anybody who's in the community knows Jamie and Matthew are not best friends right now. We'll see what Stott sees as he completes the last lap and a half in his efforts to pass that Juergensmeyer. Stott's just braking later in these slow corners. It'll be about 9/10, 8.5, yeah, 9/10 at the line between them as we begin the final lap here from Circuit of the Americas. A blue flag car up ahead might play into it, but it's hard to be sure. There is plenty of room off to the sides of this track for that lap car to just move out of the way. Oh, just no fear through the opening part of the S's. Stotts is definitely going, going for broke at the moment. And it's paid off. He's right there at the 18's doorstep. Bit of a weak exit, though, but all it takes is a good exit onto the back straightaway, and a pass will be made. Which is precisely what Matthew Stotts has gained. Swerving to break the slipstream is Juergensmeyer. The lap car is of no consequence, so it's just going to be one final sector to determine the winner of this IndyCar event. This is like the rematch that these two never got to have at Long Beach after the lobby reset shenanigans. Now we're going to actually see who's actually won this actual race. As the different lines come into play, Stotts is going to have one last chance, and it's that literal last turn of the circuit. Because he wouldn't really pass anyplace else unless you've got a death wish. Honestly, at this point, Stotts might just have it. He might just have one, but he doesn't. Desperation move, question mark, it's a go. Down the inside, Juergensmeyer crosses over. This is just going to be a bona fide drag race to the start-finish line. Does anybody have any pushes to pass left? It's Juergensmeyer at the line by not a whole lot. Oh my lord. That must have been by, at most, half a tenth between the 19 and the 6. 18 and the 6. Oh boy, that's a Rallycross finish right there, but without the contact, obviously, because you can't do that in IndyCar. AJ Knickel will complete a very quiet podium drive. Scarborough hangs on to his 4th place. Crabtree is looking set to grab a P6 in a reserve effort. At this point, he might as well be full-time. As far as I'm concerned, he might honestly be, and I'm just getting things misconstrued too. I'm not actually sure. He was definitely a reserve in round 1. as we wait for everybody to cross the start finish. We're only waiting on Carter and Matthew to complete their final laps of this Circuit of the Americas event. The interval doesn't even know what to do. It says that apparently he finished negative a minute and 44 seconds ahead of him. I don't know how that works. And over the line, Matthew Daly grabs himself. What position was that? 10th. Let's say the last point. This is not F1. I've already had a couple of people file in for interviews. Namely, still need Jurgen Stotts. The difference was, 6/100ths. I said half a tenth, so basically the same thing. Who else is already here? There we go. Oh, I need a drink after that. The full podium has joined the party. I actually thought of questions this time. It helps when the race is actually good. For our third place finisher, AJ, who I frequently commented was kind of just in the background because he was super close to the fight for the lead but never challenged for it. What do you think was that sort of missing link for you that couldn't get you up to the battle for the lead in this one?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure. I'll have to take a look at where we were losing throughout the race, to be honest. But it seemed like the thing that, from a driving comfort level that I was missing was front-end grip. It just, I could turn in, but it was rotating a little more rearward than I maybe wanted it to for my comfort levels. There are a couple instances where, I felt like I had pace, I was on a razor's edge at times, but then, you go back, you look at the lap times I was posting versus the fastest that Stotts was posting, and we're a second down, so a little bit of workshopping to do, I think, to figure out where we were losing it.
Yeah, if it's front-end grip, chances are you're probably losing time in the third sector. It's very easy to snap on those double hairpins.
I think most of the places that most of the single place we were losing time was actually in the S's.
This doesn't make sense.
It was front end lateral grip, whether or not that was due to lack of downforce. I think that was probably a big contributor. We went with a lower downforce setup tonight to just try and capitalize on the straights. I figured we'd have enough rotation, but it was a little too much rotation rearward, and I needed a little more on the front and a little less on the rear, so that's where we were losing in totality. But generally, good race for us. I can't complain too much. This is what I needed after the last 2 weeks. Daytona was kind of a bust, and last week didn't even finish the race, so this should put us hopefully top 8 in points and lock us in for the rest of the races this season. We can build from here.
Yeah, return to normality for the 6 car of AJ. Something that he definitely needs. And then we look at second place Matthew Stotts, who had a bit of a drag race to the finish line. I definitely took notice during that last stint. You just kind of turned on the jets. What was the difference in performance there? Because you were just kind of a mid-pack car, and then you took that pit stop, and suddenly it ascended to another plane of existence there. Matthew.
Give me a second. I'm making sure my dog doesn't bark here. Nah, bro, but for real. I don't know, man. The tire pressures were messed up at the start. I was starting off on 30 plus tire or PSI or whatever, and I don't know why I did that. Made my pit stop, and I was back down to normal and stayed normal for the rest of the race, and just had to play catch up, unfortunately. The back of the car was very unstable in the first part of the run, so I couldn't do much about that.
No, AJ knows about that. Yeah, so the second that you're...
I was gonna say I gotta ask Stotts just to get a little bit more of an expansion on that answer since I'm league owner. I gotta figure out. Were you on same tire compound both stints? And what
Yes,
was
I
it
was on
for?
primaries both. I switched to primaries
Okay.
from primaries, so I was primaries the whole race.
That's actually... I mean, I was kind of on this... I was on that train of thinking. I was like, did he, like, find out the alternates are better? Because obviously the broadcaster can't see different compounds. I was like, did he start on primaries and learn over time, like, oh, hey, this is not it, and then find the alternates and go faster? But apparently that is simply not it.
It was the game glitching me out in the first run. I have no clue how that happened. Usually it happens after the pit stop, but I don't know. Still a good race though. I'm glad with the P2. That should put me in probably points lead, so I'll take it after getting clobbered the first race.
And then our race winner, Mr. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, won from pole. Didn't have the fastest lap though. Couldn't quite complete that Grand Slam. Was your heading towards the last few laps of the race? Were you even thinking about Matthew Stotts in your rear view? Were you just kind of like
Yes.
eyes forward? Okay, so you were definitely like he was in the back of your mind the whole time, huh?
I mean, yeah, he was, what, 6 seconds back with about 7 laps to go. I was just doing the math, seeing how much he would gain, how much he'd have to gain every lap to get to me at the end. And every lap he was hitting the perfect amount to get me right at the end. And he did get me
Apparently
right at the
that
end.
much.
I got him back, so I don't know, man.
Yeah, smooth crossover attack did that one. And the second question, too, of battling with your teammates early on in the race, how eager were you to actually fight for those positions, or were you just kind of felt like you were obligated to early on?
I mean, I was on the alternates. I was on the alternates the first and second stint. I started on them. I knew Fabian was on the primaries, and he got a better start than me. He got ahead of me, and I was eager to try to get past him because I knew I was quicker. And so I did get by him, and then had to pit halfway to make the alternate strategy work, and then Jake ended up getting ahead of me. I don't know what his strategy was, but I mean, he got him 5th. But I mean, I had to pass him as well. I mean, you want to go for a move, but you know they're not going to just get out of your way, so you're going to have to go for a move. I mean, this isn't F1. There's no DRS. You're not going to fly by them. You're going to have to actually like pass them. And I mean, I dove on Fidel at turn 1. I passed Jake somewhere as well. Just got it done.
I think it was also a turn 1, but it was just later braking rather than a dive bomb, if I remember correctly. And of course, too, being they were your teammates, you don't want to do something astronomically stupid and not only mess up both of you, but mess up the whole team as far as a point standings thing goes.
Yeah,
So.
they raced well. They knew the circumstances.
Yeah, so, Jurgensmeyer, fiercely competitive, even when it's the same team, clearly. And that'll about wrap up the podium interviews. Since you're still here, AJ, if you want to handle the outro, since you do all the sponsorship way better than me, you still haven't written the script out for that.
Yeah, I need to write a script down for a commentator, but yeah. 2 weeks from now, we will be at the next round of the Indy, or the ARC Indycar Championship. That will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indianapolis GP. The 28-lap long event is probably one of the longer events of the season, so in 2 weeks you won't want to miss that one. Special thank you to all of our sponsors who help and contribute every single week. DiveBomb Media for being our partner and helping with all of the many things that they do behind the scenes, from promotion to just making sure everything runs smoothly. Shout out to Sim League Pro for helping run the league the way that it does with all of their awesome tools on their website. If you are a avid sim racer and you're looking for leagues, you absolutely want to check out simleaguepro.com and get involved with all of the different leagues that are happening there. You'll find something that you will like. Shout out to Burning Rubber Podcast for their motorsports coverage in the world of IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, and more, constantly bringing interviews of lesser-known drivers to the limelight, and shout out to James McAdam for allowing us use of all of his screenshots for free via our partnership. And our final shout out to myself for AJ Knickel Design. If you want any graphic design work, you can check that out at ajknickeldesign.wixsite.com/portfolio. And we will see all of you guys in 2 weeks' time for the Indianapolis GP. If you're looking for more Auto Racing Connected action, you can find that in the coming races, as in 2 weeks' time we also will be visiting Monaco, as well as some other races happening like the ARC Rallycross Championship tomorrow night. Until next time, guys.